Welcome to Global News on Signaturetv. I am Barry Kumo Ado. In the headlines, NUPRC raises alarm over recruitment scam. 10 police officers, 2 civilians killed as security forces neutralized 17 bandits in Kebbi. Thousands of passengers stranded across airports in Nigeria's fan battle Delta Airlines. And police say South Africa mine dump collapse kills 14 illegal miners. Details in a moment.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signaturetv, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signaturetv. News in your pocket.
Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission has raised the alarm over the proliferation of fake and artificial intelligence-generated employment letters being circulated in the name of the Commission. The statement issued on Tuesday by its spokesperson, Eniola Akinkuotu. The Commission said it had received reports of fake employment letters bearing the names of persons unknown to the NUPRC. According to the Commission, some unscrupulous and criminal elements have also been collecting money from members of the public by falsely claiming they could facilitate their recruitment into the agency. Also warned members of the public against falling victim to fraudsters allegedly extorting money from unsuspecting job seekers under the guise of helping them secure employment with a regulatory agency. Commission stated categorically that it was not currently conducting any recruitment exercise and added that whenever the Commission decides to recruit, the process will be conducted strictly in accordance with excellent laws and government regulations. NUPRC advised job seekers and members of the public to disregard any purported employment offer or recruitment process that does not emanate through the Commission's authorized channels. The Gombe State Police Command on Tuesday announced a 2-day shooting range exercise at a military shooting range in Liji, Gombe State. The exercise is scheduled to take place from Wednesday, August 12 to Thursday, August 13, 2026, between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. each day at the Gombe military shooting range. Abdullahi said the exercise was part of routine activities by police personnel and urged residents and commuters around the area not to panic over the sound of gunshots. Command advised members of the public, particularly residents and commuters within the vicinity of the shooting range, to avoid unnecessary movement around the designated areas during the exercise. He also warned members of the public against trespassing into the range area, stressing that the restriction was necessary to prevent avoidable incidents during the exercise, and urged parents and guardians to caution their children and wards against going near the shooting range during the exercise. Command advised residents to comply with instructions from security personnel deployed around the area. 10 police officers and 2 civilians were killed during a fierce gun battle with suspected bandits along the Rafi-Makoko axis of Sakaba local government area, Kebbi State. It was gathered that the incident happened on Sunday, which has thrown the community into mourning and panic. The Kebbi State Police Command confirmed the incident in a statement made available to newsmen on Tuesday. Police Regulations Officer Bashir Usman said operatives intercepted a large group of armed bandits moving between Zamfara and Kebbi State. Police spokesman described the losses suffered by security forces as painful. Said the command's immediate focus was on supporting victims' families and pursuing fleeing attackers. The incident has thrown Makoko Ward and the entire Sakaba local government area into mourning, with calls for prayers and government support for bereaved families. Security operations in the border area are ongoing as authorities work to track down remaining members of the bandits group. Flight operations was disrupted at the Kano Ibiam International Airport, ENUGU, and other airports in Nigeria following an industrial action by aviation workers over unresolved disputes with airline operators. The strike, which has been spearheaded by Aviation Workers Union, is already affecting flight operations, with passengers arriving at the airport confronted with delays and uncertainty over the scheduled flights. Correspondent was at the ENUGU airport reports that the ENUGU Air was the only airline that was operational at the airport because the workers had not joined the Workers' Union. Development is linked to a dispute between Aviation Workers Union and airline operators over outstanding financial obligations, including the alleged non-remittance of statutory 5% ticket sales charge, TSC, to the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority and other aviation agencies. Unions involved include National Union of Air Transport Employees, NUATE, the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, ATSAN, and the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, NAPE. Earlier, Signature Morning Program, Christopher Lele, interviewed the ENUGU branch chairman of the Nigeria Union of Air Transport Employees, NUATE, Kenneth Ibokwe, said the disrupted flight operations at the Kano Ibiam International Airport was not a strike.
The situation on ground is not just particular to ENUGU. It's a nationwide picketing of a running battle with the union in payment of debt owed to some agencies in the aviation industry as regards the TSC, ticket service charge, which in agreement the airlines who collect the money agree to pay 5% of whatever they collect to the agencies. So Airpeace has defaulted in doing this. So after a long deliberation with the MD of Airpeace Airline, which did not yield any positive result, you know, this thing directly affects the staff. They are aware the money to take care of the welfare of the staff is part of what is owing. So at 00 hours this morning, the Airpeace counters were shut down, Lagos and Abuja, and you know what it means. Once they are counter, no business for them today. So Airpeace is not flying today until the issue is resolved. We are waiting. It's not peculiar to ENUGU, like I said. Guinea is in compliance, Port is in compliance. Every other airports that they fly, they're all in compliance. Like I said, ENUGU Air is on ground. They are flying. So that's the situation. It's not just staff of airports protesting. No, we picketed Airpeace.
Raised concern over workers' welfare and issues surrounding recognition and unionization of employees in the aviation sector. The wider implications of prolonged industrial action for air travelers, airlines, and the Nigerian aviation industry comes into focus as passengers are advised to confirm the flight status with their respective airlines before making further arrangements. Still in ENUGU, 3 suspected members of a notorious kidnapping gang allegedly responsible for the August 2 attack at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Oyafa, in Udi local government area of Enugu State, have been arrested by security agencies. The suspects were apprehended during a joint operation involving the Department of State Services, Nigerian Army, Police, Enugu State Forest Guard, and other security personnel. One suspected kidnapper was killed during a gun battle with the security forces, while 4 AK-47 rifles and ammunition were recovered from the gang. Development was disclosed on Monday night when the Enugu State Governor Peter Mba visited the state DSS headquarters to inspect the arrested suspects. Representing the governor, the secretary to the state government, Professor Chidebere Onya said 2 of the 3 victims abducted during the August 2 attack, seminarian Lawrence Ibo and Emmanuel Ondi, had regained their freedom. He added that both victims had identified the arrested suspect as the men who abducted them. Onya said the state government will continue to deploy its security architecture to prevent criminal activities and ensure that offenders are brought to justice. Onya commended the security agencies involved in the operation, particularly the DSS, Army, Police, and the ENUGU State Forest Guard.
The kidnapped victims were all recovered and they have been returned safe. None of them lost their lives or were harmed. The security forces made sure in our recovery process that we were very particular about safeguarding lives. Usually in endeavors like this, the criminality of this process has an economic component, which is ransom. For us, and in these particular operations, with the gentlemen, our very fine collaborators in the DSS and the military, part of what was used was the ransom amount as bait, as part of our strategy. That was not the only strategy. And once this operation was completed and considered successful, the amount of monies that were paid were all fully recovered. And that some of them are the things you see. The arms that were involved in this criminality, we have recovered all of them in the custody of the security agencies that handled this operation. So yes, ransoms were paid, but they have all been recovered completely. They were used strictly as strategy. And we have it, and nobody was killed. I reiterate again, nobody was killed. But I must point something out here, and that is the role that informants, local informants, play in this process. We have found out.
The Osun State Governor, Ademola Adeleke, has defended his administration's road projects, saying the state government should not be expected to divert its resources to repair federal roads. Adeleke spoke on Tuesday at a town hall in Osogbo while responding to concerns over the condition of some federal roads in the state, including the road leading into Ile-Ife. The governor said responsibility for federal roads rested with the federal government, adding that his administration had already undertaken several federal road projects without receiving payment, explained that the state had spent its resources on roads under its jurisdiction rather than abandoning its own infrastructure to take over federal responsibility. He also raised the issue with the Minister of Works and was seeking reimbursement for the projects carried out by the state. According to the governor, his administration had constructed about 350 kilometers of roads across Osun State. He has highlighted several projects and also addressed long-standing infrastructure problems, including the road linking Otoye-Baju and Iresi, which he claimed had been abandoned for about 45 years. Argued that improving roads within Osun was essential because of the state's agricultural economy and the need to improve connectivity between communities. The governor maintained that questions about federal roads should be directed to the federal government, while its administration should be assessed on its performance in developing roads under the state's responsibility. A chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, Dele Momodu, says he's backing Governor Ademola Adeleke of the Accord Party in Osun State for a second term, despite being a member of a rival opposition party. Momodu disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday, insisting that opposition parties must set aside individual interest and align behind Adeleke ahead of the August 15 governorship election in the state. Former presidential aspirant said he remained a proud member of the ADC, explained that he joined the party on the basis that prominent opposition figures decided to form a broad coalition against what he described as the APC cankerworm. Momodu said he had prayed against a clash of egos among opposition figures, added that he had hoped the coalition would not need to start afresh, since the ADC had earlier paraded the second, third, and fourth place candidates in the 2023 presidential election. However, said the coalition did not eventually materialize as envisaged, said he had nonetheless not given up hope and Nigerians would rise against the APC. Momodu said the time had come for opposition parties to confront reality and act with practical common sense, adding that his decision to back a candidate outside its own party was informed by the situation in Osun State, insisted that his endorsement of Adeleke was not informed by friendship or family ties, described the governor as a global phenomenon who would defeat President Bola Tinubu in a popularity contest. A national chairman of a Labour Party, Nenadi Usman, has urged Nigerian politicians to emulate a non-violent approach to politics that has come to be associated with the guiding principles of former President Goodluck Jonathan. Speaking to journalists in Bauchi, the Bauchi State Capitol on Tuesday, on the sidelines of a 2026 annual lecture of Goodluck Jonathan Foundation Democracy Dialogue, the Labour Party chairperson argued that Nigeria's democracy survived the doomsday predictions of bookmakers in 2015 because former President Jonathan considered defeat even before the final votes were tallied. According to Senator Usman, such a principled approach to politics had never before been witnessed on the Nigerian political horizon. She maintained that the former president, from the inception of his presidency, consistently maintained that neither his election or remaining in power was worth the blood of any Nigerian, and that after the election Jonathan was put to the test, saying the former president lived up to his preaching. The founder of a new Nigeria People's Party, Boniface Aniabonam, has said that in spite of delays arising from litigations, the party was able to field well over 90% candidates of all the elected positions in the 2027 general elections nationwide. Aniabonam stated this in Lagos on Tuesday while speaking with newsmen after the party's Emergency National Working Committee meeting, which was held at Rockview Hotel in Apapa. He said fielding candidates across all contestable positions did not rule out strategic alliance political parties that have like minds. Explained that the zoning applies to political parties that have won the presidency and not those yet to win. He also said that the party will be holding a non-elective convention before the end of August to have members interact on so many issues in the party, and urged members who had left the party in the wake of an external leadership crisis to return immediately ahead of the replacement of placeholders. The Vice-Chancellor of Moses Osho Adasu University in Makurdi, Professor Timothy Tese Alaba, has disclosed that 5 suspects have been arrested in connection with the late killing of a lecturer of the institution, Professor Gabriel Sawa Nyitio. He made a disclosure on Monday while responding to questions from journalists in Makurdi. Late Nyitio, a professor in the Department of History, was killed by unknown gunmen on July 7, 2026, at his residence in Makurdi alongside his younger sibling by suspected gunmen. Professor Laba described the incident as a major setback to the university and the Department of History, said that 5 arrests have been made by the suspects reportedly from our local government area of Nasarawa State, based on briefs from security agencies. The Naira traded around 1,368 to the US dollar in the official Nigerian Foreign Exchange Market, NFEM, on Tuesday, August 11, 2026, as the Central Bank of Nigeria's reference rate continued to hover within the 1,360–1,370 range. Data from the CBN and FMDQ showed the NFEM rate at about 1,368.22 per dollar. At the parallel markets commonly referred to as a black market, the dollar was quoted at about 1,405 on Tuesday, leaving a gap of roughly 37 between official and street rates. The current spread suggests that pressure in the retail foreign exchange segment remains moderate, with the premium staying far below the wide differentials seen during periods of heightened volatility in 2024 and 2025. For individuals and businesses, the applicable exchange rate may vary slightly depending on the bank, bureau de change, transfer platform, or location of a transaction. Still to come, police say South African mine dump collapse kills 14 illegal miners. At least 132 killed in Colombia's largest earthquake in years. Stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
At least 14 suspected illegal miners were killed and 8 injured when a mine dump collapsed in South Africa's northwest province on Monday night. Search and rescue operations were underway for an unknown number of people who may still be trapped at a site near Rustenburg, Provincial Police Commissioner Arthur Peters Adams said, adding that the collapse occurred as the miners were digging for platinum group metals at a disused dump on a private company's site. The injured miners are from the southern African country of Lesotho, while the nationality of those killed is yet to be confirmed. Illegal mining has plagued South Africa for decades, ranging from small-scale theft to operations run by organized criminal networks. Undocumented miners often enter abandoned commercial mines to extract remaining deposits, sometimes under the control of violent gangs. Illegal mining costs the government and mining industry hundreds of millions of dollars each year in lost sales, taxes, and royalties. About 132 people are dead, and a state of emergency has been declared after Colombia was hit by one of the largest earthquakes in the years. The earthquake was felt across hundreds of miles in western Colombia, causing widespread damage in several cities. Country's Geological Service said Colombia's Association of Capital Cities wrote in a statement that about 480 people were injured in the quakes. Authorities have reported at least 40 people dead in the metropolitan area, with 65 collapsed buildings. The rescue team are still searching for people who are believed to be trapped in 15 of the buildings. Residents described the earthquake as a terrifying experience, with the building shaking, walls cracking, and debris falling in the streets. The Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it was closely monitoring the earthquake and stood readily to support, while EU's Ursula Leyen said the EU's Companions satellite was being used in the rescue operation. President of El Salvador Nayib Bukele sent a message of solidarity to the Colombian people and offered personnel and equipment for rescue efforts. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, an estimated 1.5 million people felt shaken close to magnitude 7. A U.S. judge has dismissed criminal charges against Indian billionaire Gautam Adani, bringing a high-profile bribery and fraud case against one of India's richest businessmen to an end. 2024, Adani was accused of allegedly paying bribes to Indian officials for high-profile renewable energy projects and misleading U.S. investors about it. Adani and his companies have consistently denied wrongdoing. Adani has welcomed the court order and said he accepted the decision with humility and deep respect for the judicial process. In a 47-page order, U.S. District Judge Nicholas Garafis on Monday approved the Justice Department's request to drop the charges against Adani. However, the judge strongly criticized the way the decision was reached. He said R. Trent Makota, Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General, had worked with Adani's lawyers on the dismissal without consulting prosecutors and investigators who had handled the case. Judge Garafis described the process as highly unusual, saying Makota appeared to have substituted his own judgment for that of officials directly involved in the investigation. In May, the Justice Department asked for the charges to be dismissed, arguing that much of the alleged conduct had taken place outside the U.S., making the case difficult to prosecute, and that pursuing it no longer aligned with the department's priorities. And that's it on Global News. I am Barry Kumo Ado. Thank you very much for watching.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
New every morning on Signature TV, we open the day for you with needed energy, information, and required vibes to shape your day. From sizzling snippets of stories in various areas of life to intriguing conversations with net worth guests.
When you have people who have no track record becoming your leaders, you have a problem.
There's no outstanding gratuity when Obi took over from me. I left in all the accounts of Anambra State 13.8 billion for him.
Your day cannot be complete without Signature Morning on weekdays and Signature New Day on weekends. There is no better way to start your day except Signature Morning and Signature New Day every day on Signature TV.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
My name is Jason, and I'm a champion. Storytelling is the most powerful tool for changing the world and shaping ideas and people. And so to be part of this program, it makes me feel like I'm part of something important that will change the future and create a better, safer world for everybody to live in.
In every generation of storytellers, there are those who simply write stories, and there are those who quietly reshape the way stories are told. Jason Abaga belongs to the latter. A screenwriter, poet, songwriter, and cultural storyteller, Jason Abaga has spent years helping to craft some of Africa's most influential screen narratives. His writing credits include the acclaimed MTV drama series Sugar, the television drama Unbroken, and the hit comedy drama Hustle, where he served as head writer. Through these works, he has consistently explored the complexities of human relationships, identity, ambition, and social change. But Jason Abaga's impact extends beyond the scripts he writes. At a time when conversations around representation and inclusion are transforming global media, Abaga has emerged as one of the creative voices championing gender equitable storytelling in Nigeria.
The situation, of course, it was an example I used last time, which is that there's a popular example about people trying to watch a football game, and there's a fence blocking them, and that fence blocks them from seeing. So the tall people can come and see, the short people cannot see. You get, and that's a state of inequality, you know. And then if you want to fix it now, and you want to make things equal, what most people do is that you bring a box for the short people to stand on, so everybody can see over the fence, you know, and then you say, well, I've equalized everything. But where we now want to go to equity is where we take away the fence completely, right? So like I said, I was thinking about everything, and I said, even as Nigerians, as Africans, the work is even more complicated than taking away the fence, because there are the structural fences that have existed. Thank you. Then there are a lot of psychological, mental fences as well, that even without you being stopped, you stop yourself. And there are people that have crossed the fence, gone into the place, met the people there. The people said, okay, not even that they've taken over, the people there said, you can come, but make sure you block block the other ones from coming in. So it's a very complicated thing. And now the world is moving on, there's progress, and a lot of the structural fences are falling by the special grace of God. It starts at the story creation level. Your story needs to be, balanced, have the have equal gender representation, and push these progressive values which we're working on here. For working with a producer, of course, the ideal situation is that you're both on the same page and both have the same values and they align. But the reality is that often it's just a paycheck and it's just a job you have to do. So my advice for writers is there are two ways to do this. The first is have the conversation up front with the producer and say that while writing the scripts, these are some of the things you're going to look out for. They are good things, and I don't see any reasonable producer saying no to them. And then secondly, as you're writing, there are little areas where, as a writer, you have influence, deciding for example, what gender a character will be when they show up, how they will express themselves, and the way they speak, and the sorts of opinions that are expressed in the script. Those are left to you to decide. And I think that every writer should see this as a call to action to infuse their writing with these values at every level. As a man, I can relate to this specifically because when you have children, the traditional stereotype is that there are roles that the mother should provide and the father should provide. But in the course of my life, I found myself having to play both roles and do everything: cooking, school dropping, and we're trying to see how we can take that experience and put it into the story and see how when women are supported and given the freedom to explore their economic potential, it's better for everybody, better for the family and for the society at large. Why we as creative people are so important in society. Sometimes the world treats us like crap. Come and do this, do that, send these documents, write this, do that. But really, we're here, we're healers, we help people process the heavy things of life. We tell them stories about themselves, we give them hope, we connect communities, we connect people to each other. And without us, I fully believe that the world will grind to a halt. But speaking with my female colleagues, there are a lot of obstacles they still face in the industry as writers and on sets. And I was really surprised and shocked to hear, of course it was a shock to me that in this modern era, there's a lot of, overt and subtle sexual harassment on some sets. And it's sort of like ignored and permitted. I was really shocked to hear that. So it's always weighed heavily on me, and I'm looking forward to a place where everybody's as shocked as I am that such a thing is happening in Hollywood. Yeah, that the norm is that everybody's respected on sets, and every producer makes sure that there's a gender balance and equity on their sets. So that's what I hope to work on.
The stories is that the human brain has no defense against the Ralph story. I came up with this quote. Here's your work. The reason I'm saying this is because human beings, we are storytelling animals, and our identities are stories, and really, if somebody tells you a good story about yourself, it's very hard for you to question whether it's the truth or not. We see examples of this in history, in our mythology, in our religion. I treat that differently, and to say that we're born into the world and we have to play catch up on everything. And a lot of it, these are things we learn growing up, and we never make a conscious choice to say, okay, I believe this or I don't. And then we see that in propaganda, advertisements, and the different narratives that play around the world. So these stories are going around the world, influencing everything: economics, social hierarchy, the law, and we have to just be careful with these stories.
That equitable storytelling, and those words are so grand and mighty and heavy. So I thought about them a lot from my years of training, my writing, the world we're in, everything. And I've been working to teach people about how it's not something to be intimidated by. Lots of the words are big and long. Inclusivity, intersectionality, all these big words can feel very strange and alien. But good storytelling comes naturally to all of us as like our birthrights, as Nigerians, as Africans, as long as you're in the creative space. And if there's any work that has to do, is sometimes the work of unlearning bad habits you've learned, making lazy assumptions about people, generalizing quickly, assuming everybody's the same, just lumping people into one box, the things that we hate for people to do to us. So we just spent some time talking about sharing how bad it feels to be excluded. I would say this session is it's extremely important to me because it's taken me a long time to get here. I had to do a lot of reading, research, and understanding and growth as a person to feel comfortable enough to teach other people about this. My preparation for today involved revisiting a lot of the material that we'd covered as part of the CC Hub Champions program, doing a little bit of research and a lot of thinking to make it relevant to African and Nigerian artists and writers specifically. One of the things that really brought it home was the exercise at the end of the session where it's called It Takes a Village, and the task is to create a hero to save the village. And the hero has to be a Nigerian woman. So it's a task that just makes it real and shows you that storytelling to Africans is natural when we have the right message. I think these events are not just beneficial, I think they're essential. I think the amount of work that they do in terms of community building and reshaping ideas and ideologies cannot be measured, and I look forward to seeing more of them.
What makes his contribution particularly significant is his position within the industry. As a male screenwriter, actively creating opportunities and mentoring pathways for women in film and media, Abaga demonstrates that gender equity is not solely a women's issue. It is a storytelling one. Abaga uses his creative expertise to inspire women in film and media through mentorship and access to opportunities. His work represents a new generation of African storytellers, one that understands that authentic storytelling requires a diversity of voices around the writer's room, behind the camera, and on screen. That perspective is rooted in his background.
Now, my third point is that nobody likes to feel left out and misunderstood. This is a very popular image about equality and equity. I love to put it up and talk about it because what it's showing is that, okay, these kids, for example, want to watch the game. Somebody has put up a fence, and then they go down to make it equal. They provided all of them a box. And even though the solution is the same across the board, it still means that there's inequality because not everybody has the same amount of length in their legs, for example. So to make it equity, it means we address everybody's needs depending on what they need. Now, a lot of people like to stop here, but me, I like to dive deeper because as Nigerians, as Africans, I see it as we want to go and play that game, and then somebody can put up a wall, whatever has happened in the past, on that context we're coming from. And the work of equity is the work of removing these walls, these obstacles. And now the thing is that some of these obstacles are inside the stories that we believe and that we retell about each other. And they snuck in over time through culture, through tradition, and we perpetuate these false narratives about each other. And at the end of it, it is counterproductive for anybody to do so. For us to say, this segment of society, or like this tribe, or this gender, or this person, to make such statements, it's counterproductive to do so.
The feeling of being excluded, some of the toughest challenges are when you're trying to change yourself. When people have known you your whole life and you're trying to change, the new stage for you, a new era, you're trying to change, and people are not accepting that version of you, and you have to let things go, let people go. And it's heartbreaking. The second one, which was spoken extensively about, was about being a woman in a male-dominated work environment, and the constant battles, the statements, the treatments that you go through, and all of that, and how that can be demoralizing as well. And the third, which you walked in on, was about being your own person. By the time you learn to love yourself and accept who you are, and you're confident in that state of existence, it creates friction, in other people, in other situations, people who might not be as confident in themselves or assertive, and this can lead to you feeling excluded and being a loner.
I honestly did not know what to expect from this workshop. I was here to just enjoy the lecture from Jason, but I think I was more inspired by also the community, the collection of souls and people and minds, and this idea of group work and just being in concert with other creative beings. That really touched me today, especially because I'm a solo creative. I'm always by myself. I'm always hibernating. I'm always in my cave. So it was really, really nice to feel the presence of other human beings and to create together. And now I am inspired to do it in all of my creative work. I'm looking forward to just connecting with people and having people in this space. I want to do it again and again and again and again.
Okay, so the big thing for me that I've gotten from this program is that I understand the meaning of what a champion is. So it's a word we say, but we don't really think about. But when I was watching She Runs the World, she had succeeded. She had gotten what she wanted, and then
She who? Oh, you talk.
sorry, Alison.
Alison who? When you watch She Run the
I can't remember her surname.
Alison the Olympic.
Yeah, the Olympian, Alison. Sorry. So what struck me was the moment she actually became a champion was when she had fought for her contract and her rights, and Nike had granted it to her. And then she looked at the terminology and said, okay, this protects me, but it doesn't protect anybody else. And then that's what she fought for. And when I thought about the word champion means somebody that fights for somebody else that cannot fight for themselves. So for me, that has hit me in the core. And of course, I've done a lot of subtle, progressive writing, trying to this thing. But right now, I feel like the time for subtlety for me is over. And it's time to hit people over the heads with this.
Reason why Signaturetv has a quote, and he says, for example, in a sexist society, all you're really deciding is that we're going to use only half of our resources and leave the other half unexplored. And when I look around in the world, and I see that the attempts to divide, in society, to split us into categories, to pit us against each other, whether consciously or unconsciously, these are the things that hold us back, that waste our time, that distract us, and once the lots of confusion in our midst. Different ways that we exclude people. There's an unconscious bias, each human being. There's well-being ignorance. You don't know about a certain type of people or anything, and just like statements. There are the assumptions that we must make as human beings because we don't have information and we must fill in the gaps. So those are the ones I kind of look at as kind of harmless and keep an eye out for. And then the ones that are more, targeted and, evil, I would say. Prejudice, the isms, racism, sexism, tribalism, all those isms. And the language that we use, I like to talk about the language a lot because unconsciously inside our language, a lot of these biases are hidden. It's often been talked about how English is a sexist language. A lot of the words are very male-oriented and focused on man this and man that and man that. And so unconsciously in your mind, when you're growing up as a child, and they're telling you about the human race, and they're telling you man, unconsciously you're thinking, oh, men are the human race, But the human race is men and women. Imagine growing up and they're only telling you, oh, a fictional tribe, not related to anybody in Nigeria, please. There's a Mandu tribe. Those are the holy Nigerians. That's what you're hearing to him. But you are a Nigerian by virtue of your birth. So these are the things that happen in society, and they cause lots of hurt and damage.
Travel home for Christmas, for example. As a guy especially, it's like I'm traveling to a different world, right? So if I go to my village now, it is expected for women to serve men. All I have to do...
And I tell you guys to...
Thank you. As a man, all I have to do is sit down and enjoy it. Do you understand? So, but if I'm really about that life, it now puts a burden on me to start talking to people. And like we said, it's not necessarily about being preachy. Of course, there are moments where you need to rise up and speak.
As a poet, songwriter, and scriptwriter deeply invested in African culture and expression, Jason Abaga approaches storytelling with an understanding that culture is not static, it evolves. And the stories we tell about men, women, families, leadership, and society evolve as well. For emerging screenwriters, there is much to learn from his journey. First, that storytelling is influence. Every character written, every conflict explored, and every ending imagined shapes how audiences see the world.
To bring people together, we are the healers. When people are hurt, are gonna express emotion where sort of like the channel through which we bring healing to them, where they connect us, we help people see each other, see themselves, other people. We are truth seekers. You know, we don't just stop at the surface level of anything. We like to go deeper and, you know, plumb the depths of what is real and what is not. We're the translators. When there are misunderstandings between two people, we help them see, or two cultures, that they're talking about the same thing, but maybe using different words and different contexts and perspectives and languages. We're the deep thinkers, and the one in bold quotes, we are business minded. Because what I believe is that you're a storyteller. As a business person, if I come here and I want to make money, I'm not coming here to say, okay, I'm only making money from this half or the room or that half, or only the people wearing glasses. I want to make money from everybody. So I have to make sure that the story I'm telling as a business person to my crowd is open to capturing as many people as possible at the same time. So for me, it just makes business sense to, you know, be as inclusive as possible in your storytelling. So this is me in the picture. So tools to help. Just as we tell our stories, as we go through life, things that I found helpful, having a community, having spaces like this where you can bring your heart out and have perspectives, or during the making process or after, get good feedback, doing research before you start about, tell me your story. There are different guides and tools online. I'm sure we've all heard of them. You know, we sit there, the tech down test, all these things. Free tag, all these tools that help us create brown on the parameters. I write truth and love. It sounds sappy and it sounds, you know, kind of preachy. But I really believe that if we tell our stories with truth and with love, we're really going to connect to each other and, you know, fulfill our purpose, and I believe make more money in the process.
So that all this to say now, in conclusion, as we head in, I think from what everybody has said, the only comments I have will be to say that, you know, what we have in common is bigger than what keeps us apart. Yeah. Like everybody here, we might be meeting here for the first time, but if you start to draw the list of what we have in common, you exhaust it before you get to the list of what we have as a difference instant.
Second, that great writing balances entertainment with purpose. Whether writing youth-focused dramas like Sugar or long-running television series such as Hustle, Abaga demonstrates that compelling narratives can also challenge assumptions and expand perspectives. And finally, that lasting impact often comes from collaboration. Through workshops, roundtables, and industry conversations focused on gender equitable storytelling, he has joined fellow creatives in helping redefine what inclusive African storytelling can look like. In a Nollywood landscape, often celebrated for its actors and directors, Jason Abaga stands out as a writer who understands that change begins long before the cameras roll. It begins on the page, and through his work, he is helping ensure that the future of African storytelling is not only entertaining and culturally rich, but also more equitable, more inclusive, and more reflective of the societies it seeks to serve. This is why Jason Abaga is our champion.
When we had opportunity of participating during the midwifing of the two political parties by the military, they gave us logistics, they gave us offices, they also provided transportation, and they also funded the parties. So the only problem that we were manifesting was the issue of the money bags. those who will be influencing the electoral process. So after that regime, it was an open field for people, because looking at our electoral system, the American presidential system is a very corrupt political regime, because the constituencies are larger and the process of selection of the candidates is also very cumbersome, that the parties were managed by people who have no vision of what democracy is all about. They think it's all issue of money and money and money and deployment of the money to produce better results. So if you look at who are the bureaucrats, who are those managing the parties in Nigeria, the people managing the parties don't even know what building a political structure means. They think is just staying in office. I had the minister of FCT saying that the PDP were able to sell, form, and made about close to 14 billion naira, but they couldn't pay ground rent for their property of 7 million. So that shows you the reckless. The party system here is from top to bottom. It's not from bottom to top. The party system we are practicing is not the way the American presidential system run in the United States. So there's no idea. It's all about money, money, and money. So how do you, the average earning of the top civil servants in Nigeria, for you to earn 3 or 4 million naira a year, and somebody will pay 50 million to buy for? Politics is based on constituency interest. It's not based purely on the platform you're running. That will also have some tribute to your success. Let us look at the 3 candidates. 1, where do they come from in Anambra State? Soludo comes from Isuofia. He has only 1 ward in his political parish.